Hi, welcome to More Yoga with me, Emily. Thank you so much for joining me today. I thought today we'd get a little bit into the chest and shoulders, a little bit of release through there, and also through the quads, because why not? It's been a while since we've done it. And to that end, let's start lying down. I'm going to lie down on my belly, so prone. And a lot of people, for whatever reason, it is not a comfortable position to lie down in, and that's totally fine. One thing that you can do if you have some blocks or some pillows is you can prop yourself up a little bit. It gives a little bit of lift through the shoulders, which then gives more space for breasts or bellies or whatever you might have on the front of your body. If you don't want to lie down on your belly, then feel free to lie down on your back to start with. If you want to try this little propping thing, it looks quite intense, but for me anyway, it feels quite lovely. The idea is that once you're on your belly, you bring blocks kind of underneath your shoulders, and then you prop your shoulders up onto the blocks. Now you kind of have to figure out what angle you want to be on. If you want your arms pointing back, then you want the arms supported a little bit, otherwise out on an angle. And then it can sometimes help to have a cushion or a pillow underneath your head. So this is where I'm going to start. If you'd prefer to just lie down on your belly normally, then that's a great place to be. If you want to just be on your back, then start on your back. And then wherever you are, for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath away. Couple more. And then continue breathing with a sweet, natural breath. If you're prone, as I am, you'll feel quite a bit of movement through your body with every breath, as the belly and the ribs press into the earth. But whatever positioning that you are in, trace the movement of your breath and then the movement in your body with every breath. And just try to keep those 2 things as a point of focus for your mind. Last few gentle breaths here. And those of you who are on your back, gently make your way onto your belly. If you have propped blocks underneath your shoulders or chest, like I have, gently remove them out to the side and come back to your belly, one cheek to the floor, just to release a little bit more through the neck. And then switch sides with your head. And then gently come back to center. From here, take a little wiggle of the hips from side to side. I want you to untuck the toes. Start to reach them further back. Send your tailbone to the back wall. Feel your belly button engaged toward your spine. And from here, I want you to reach your left hand forward. Now you could keep the palm of the hand on the floor. You might come up onto fingertips with that hand. And then kick your right heel to your bum. Now the idea here is that you hug that heel, the right heel, in toward your bum by using your hand. You want to press the right hip into the floor a little bit more, but don't lift the knee up off the earth yet. Wrap your right shoulder onto your back. Keep the left leg really active, pressing the tops of the feet into the floor. First option is to stay here in the beautiful quadricep stretch. You might start to lift the knee slightly off the earth to deepen the stretch. Some of you might choose to take this into half bow, in which case kick the right foot into your hand to lift the thigh and the right side of the body up off the earth. Keep the back of the neck long. Keep pressing the left fingertips into the earth, the top of the left foot. One more breath. And then slowly, gently release. A little shake out. And then we'll switch sides so the right arm reaches forward. Kick. Ooh, sorry, a little twinge in my right arm. Press the tops of the right feet or foot into the floor. Again, you might be on the palm or you might be on fingertips. Make sure that you're not shrugging too much into those shrug muscles. And then kick the left heel to the bum. Now my head is lifted so I can talk and the microphone isn't muffled, but your forehead might be on the floor. Hug the left heel into your bum a little bit more. Wrap the left shoulder onto your back. You can always hold from the inside of the foot, and that prevents that shoulder from rounding forward. And then think of pressing the left hip into the floor. Maybe you lift the left knee up slightly, so you're getting a lovely long stretch through the top of the left thigh, through the quadriceps. Again, this is a beautiful place to stay. Or if you'd like to take half bow, then think of kicking the left foot away from you to lift the left torso and the left thigh up off the earth. Wrap the shoulders onto the back, really active through the right leg, and then slowly release. Little wiggle from side to side or windshield wiper of the legs. And then bring your hands underneath your shoulders, press yourself into hands and knees. As always on hands and knees, you don't have to be on your palms if that feels like you've got too much tension in the wrists. You could be on your fists. You could be on fingertips, which also keeps the wrist more or less neutral. It just takes quite a bit more effort. So wherever you want to be. In fact, I'm going to try that today on fingertips. And then let's move through cat and cow. Inhale, lift the tailbone, hollow through the lower back. Broaden through the collarbones. Exhale, round through your spine. Really press the floor away. And inhale to cow. Exhale, round into cat. Couple more of these on your own time, on your own breath. Maybe there's some other movement that would feel really good here. So start to go where you need to go. And if you've picked one variation with your hands and it doesn't feel good, like I did, change it up. Doesn't matter. And then slowly come back to center. Shuffle your knees back or walk your hands forward so that you can come into a low plank position. Little squeeze of the bum, belly button to spine, and then gently lower yourself down to the floor. You're like, we were just there. Why did you press yourself up? Well, it's to release a little bit through the spine and the low back. From here, you're going to bring your arms out into a T. And if you have something like a chip foam block or a pillow that you can bring underneath your head, then that's a really good thing to have here, stretch your right arm out to the side and then come up onto fingertips on that left hand. Press into those left fingertips to slowly start to roll yourself over top of the right shoulder. Now this is where it's nice to have something underneath your head, whatever height it might be at, just so that the neck can stay neutral. Now from here, go slowly and gently. You might start to press yourself a little bit further so that the legs can stack. Or maybe you bend the top knee and sort of kickstand the top leg behind you, sole of the foot to the floor. If all of that feels all right, then maybe you add the little drape of the top arm behind the low back. Now, usually I demonstrate this face on, so I thought I'd do it from the side just so you can see. And only go as far as feels good for you. And we all have varying levels of tightness across the chest and the shoulders in particular. Women tend to have more mobility through the shoulders, but that's not necessarily always the case. So it's all part of listening to your body. A few more breaths here. I'm going to stay here a little bit longer. I don't know if you joined me for that Vashisthasana and Wild Thing flow, but this is a really great release for the chest and shoulders after that class or after those positions. And then if your arm is behind you, wherever you are, very slowly start to unwind. As slow as you can. Come back to center, because again, there's so many muscle connections and fascia through the front of the shoulder. You don't want to accidentally tweak anything. And then just pause in the center for a good few breaths. And then from here, take your left arm out to the side, come up onto the fingertips of your right hand. And then press into the right fingertips to slowly start to roll over top of the left shoulder. And go slowly, right? One side can be a totally different experience from the other. So you might need to back off of it, or maybe you need to go a little bit deeper. You can always bend the top knee. Not always, but if you want to, if it's available to you, bend the top knee, bring the sole of the foot to the floor so you get a nice kickstand for stability. Maybe that right arm starts to reach around behind you, a little drape. So this is very similar. In fact, it's almost exactly the same as the stretch that you can do standing against the wall to get into the pecs, especially, but also lots of other muscles. Anterior deltoid. And again, we're going to be here for a little while longer, so start to allow gravity to do its work. Allow your body to melt a bit deeper into the earth. At any point, if you feel pain, back out of the pose to at least a point that is pain-free, or all the way, so that your body can recover. And last breath here. And then again, as slowly as you came into it, start to unwind. Eventually coming all the way back onto your belly. And then opposite cheek to the earth to balance out your spine. And allow all of the tissue on the front of that left shoulder to rebound. to reset. And then slowly, little wiggle, little windshield wiper of the knees. And then roll yourself over onto your left side. I'm going to end up being on my right, but that's okay. And then prop yourself up. You could use a hand under your head, or you might just cradle your head on your arm. Bottom knee bend is going to give you a little bit more support so that you don't wobble back and forth. And then we're going to do the very same stretch that we did on our bellies for the quads on the top leg. So whatever leg you have on top, it doesn't matter what side you're on. Kick your heel to your bum. Now, it's tempting to have the knee lift up to the sky, but can you think of bringing your femur back into neutral? And then wrap the top shoulder onto your back. Hug the heel into the bum a little bit more. Now my knee is lifting up. I'm going to try and bring it back into neutral. You can get a little bit of a deeper stretch sometimes laterally if you lift the knee, but it can also tweak the knee. So kick the heel into the bum and then pull the heel into the bum. You might pull the knee.
Is there something else I can't help with?
Thanks, Siri. You can pull the knee back slightly. Last couple of breaths here. And then gently release that top foot. Shake it out a little bit. And then extend both legs here. Bend the top knee. Bring the sole of the foot to the inside of the thigh. Now, because we're here on the floor, it can be against the knee if that works for you. Or you could also bend the bottom knee and just bring the top foot to your leg, wherever it hits. Now, my pants are quite slippy, so this isn't working quite as well for me as it normally does. If you have the mobility, you could always grab hold of your ankle like I am. It also just depends on how long your arms are, really. From here, you're going to think of extending that leg up to the sky. Now you can stabilize here with the hand on the leg or the thigh, and that knee can be bent. It does not need to be straight, right? Deeply bent even, and I'm still getting some release. But toes turning out, heel reaches up to the sky, whether or not the knee is bent. Maybe some of you will have a grab of the big toe, and it gets a little wobbly. And then slowly release, shake it all out, and then switch sides. So I'm going to flip around, doing the awkward transition. You don't have to do that. You can always just roll to the other side and bring the camera with you if you want to, or camera, video, I don't know. Who's teaching this class anyway? So, opposite side now. Find a comfortable position. Maybe on this side you prop your head up. Maybe you just cradle it. Whatever feels good for you. Again, knees can be bent for more stability here. And then kick the top heel to the bum. Grab the outside or inside of your foot with the top hand. Wrap the shoulder onto the back and then press your hips forward as you pull the knee slightly back. Try not to lift the knee out of neutral, or rather lifting the knee so that the femur comes out of neutral. Last couple breaths here. It's kind of like dancer's pose, but you're on your side, so it's wobbly in different ways. And then slowly release, shake it out a little bit, and then again bend the top knee, bring the sole of the foot to the leg, wherever it might land. You don't even have to hold it. It could come to the floor if that's going to be stickier for you. So a couple breaths here just to find your balance, your position. Maybe you extend the bottom leg, give yourself a little bit of a challenge for the balance, and then start to extend the top leg up to the sky. So the toes kind of point toward your head. Again, that knee can be deeply bent, and then maybe you find somewhere on that leg to grab. Maybe it happens to be a toe bind. Little micro bend on that knee, and then socket your arm and your femur back into the hip socket and the shoulder socket. Woo! Almost fell back into the bookshelves, which would have ended quite dramatically. Last breath. And then slowly release. Shake it out a little bit and roll onto your back. Hug your knees into your chest. Take a little rock from side to side. You might draw circles with the knees here, or whatever you need to do. And then make your way to a seated position. So for some of you, that's going to mean a little fun rocking and rolling up and down the length of your spine. Maybe you just roll to one side and press yourself up. But however you want to get here, join me in a seated position. Legs could be crossed, or you could tuck them in that sort of yoga thing. Whatever you need. We're just going to get into the neck a little bit more. So often when we do the neck stretch, we do this sort of thing of the arm outstretched. For me, that works quite nicely. But one thing that you could do is reach behind your back and kind of grab the forearm with the hands, if the mobility is there for you, and then do the neck stretch. And some people I know much prefer that one. They feel like it takes less work. You also get a little bit more of the pull of the shoulder back. So I'll talk you through it. Gently bring your left ear to your shoulder. So this might be enough for you depending on how tight you are these days. Option here to reach the right fingertips away from you on the floor, or reach the left arm behind you to grab the right forearm, and then stay here. Last option, if you're not bound, is to gently add the weight of the left hand to the top of the head, right? Without reefing down on your head. Think spine long and upright. A few breaths here. And then however your arms are, keep them where they are. Start to rotate your chin toward your shoulder, tuck it in slightly. So again, if you have your bind, you can stay bound. So it's almost like you're trying to smell your armpit if your top arm is lifted, like mine. And gently release your chin to your chest. Pause here a couple breaths. And then take a little half moon circles. A little head bobble, whatever you need to do to release your neck. And then we'll switch to the opposite side. So, right ear goes to shoulder. Maybe you stay here. Maybe you reach the left fingertips away. Or wrap the right arm behind the back and grab the left forearm. That can feel quite good down the length of the arm. Maybe you choose not to do that. Maybe add the weight of the right hand to your head. Again, without yanking or pulling. Pain-free. Tension, yes. Discomfort, yes. But no pain. And then maintaining the lateral flexion in your neck. Rotate the chin toward the shoulder. tuck it under slightly. So you're still getting the left side of your neck, but the stretch will sort of change to slightly more posterior. Last couple of breaths here. And then let go of your head if you have it, or the bind on your arm. Release your chin to your chest. Couple breaths just in the middle. And then little half moon circles. Head bobble. And then flicker your eyelids open. Make your way down onto your back, please. And then hug your knees into your chest. Little rock from side to side. I always like ending with a twist. So let's take the right arm out to the side. Maybe you shift your hips right as you exhale. Lower your knees to the left. So quite a bit more rotation through the spine probably than we did with the twist from prone. You might look along the right arm. Again, this is less about the shoulder and the chest now on the right side and more about low back and mid back release through the rotation of the spine. And then slowly inhale. Come back to center, reset your spine and your pelvis. And then take your twist to the opposite side. Left arm out to the side and legs to the right. As gentle or as deep as you need. Last breath here. And then slowly inhale, come back to center. If there's anything else you feel like you need before your rest, I'm going to take a happy baby. Maybe there's some other stretch that you would like to take. Feel free to go where you would like to go, but do something. Anything that feels good for you. And then think about where you would like to end in your rest. You could end the same way we began, on your belly if you wish. You might just rest in Shavasana. Maybe your knees are bent, maybe they're straight. You could rest in child's pose, on your side, or in a seated meditation. And there's no rush to get there. But once you've found your pose of rest for a few breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh your breath away. And then let go of all breath control. With each exhale, let your body melt a bit deeper into the earth. Let go of any last remaining tension or gripping in your muscles. And stay here longer if you can. 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.